Hello. Hi there. So I had been planning on filming outside today to do a strawberry container to show you how to do a cool plant that you can stack up. However, as you can see, it's very windy today. So we're going to go inside the house in my kitchen and hopefully you can see. And yeah, we'll do it somewhere that's warm and dry. Anyway, see you in a few minutes. Okay, so first off, sorry for the swaying, what we're using today are 25 Ever Sweet strawberries. This variety, where are we here? I saw it somewhere. Everbearing, sorry. The variety is Ever Sweet, the type is Everbearing. So that's what we're working with right now. They harvest from June to September. So around here, oftentimes it is a little bit later because in my backyard, we get about 6 to 7 hours if we get the full sunspots. And where I have these going, hopefully it's going to be like that. Randomly, I've never grown from bare root before, which is what these are. It's very inexpensive to buy this way. For the 25 bare roots, it cost me $12.99 versus if you get one strawberry plant. Hi. One strawberry plant that will bear fruit that year, it's $4.99. So these guys most likely will not bear fruit or bear a very small harvest this year, but next year it'll be better. And the comparison of how much it costs per plant is just, it makes sense. If you're going to do a lot of them, it makes sense to do the bare root. So this is my first time, and what I was told by the nursery when I was like, hey, these are a little bit dry, are you supposed to like mist them or water them? Like what goes on? Because I see that if you water them, it breaks dormancy when I was doing my research. And the person kind of, like, not all nurseries are built the same. And the person looked at me and was like, yeah, if they seem dry, you water them. And I said to her, like, well, I'm just trying to avoid root rot because they're not going in the ground right away. I'm waiting a couple of weeks. And she was like, if they're dry, just water them. So I'm like, okay. So I got home and I literally, not believing her because it's contrary to everything else I read, I just put under the tap and went tch, and let it drain out fully. And I haven't watered them since, and that was about a week ago. And they broke dormancy while in this little pack. So I'm not sure if that's going to hold them back and stunt them now because it broke dormancy before it got any soil or nutrients or anything. So we'll see. I'm only going to take a few out today. I'll show you the container I have. The container, most likely, I can only have 5 plants in there, so I'm just going to take 5 roots out. The ones that have the most greenery, I think, to try to give them a head start. So yeah, I'm going to pause, reposition this camera, and show you what we're doing. Okay, so I have the strawberries here. I'm going to open them. And they've been wrapped in a plastic with 2 elastics on it. And there's instructions on the back. So it says strawberries should be planted in fertile, well-drained, slightly acidic soil. Planted in an open, sunny location. And open, they mean for airflow. Work the soil well, for planting, work the soil well and add well-rotted manure, peat moss, and compost. Place the plants 12 inches apart in rows of 30 inches apart. Dig a hole 1 to 2 inches deeper than the roots and put the plant on a mound in the hole with the roots spread out. So that means when you're digging the hole, you put a little bit of soil in the center. You dig the hole, and then in the center you have a little bit of a mound coming up. So you put the plants on top of that. If the ground level is here, the strawberry root is going to be, the strawberry crown will be just over top. And that means that the root won't rot since they're susceptible to that. The crown should be level with the surface. If it is buried, the crown will rot. And if its base is exposed, the roots will dry out. Fill in and firm the soil around the plant and water thoroughly. Water well during dry periods. For the first few weeks, as lack of water at this time can slow the growth or kill the plants. Care. During the first season, remove blossoms until June if they are June bearing, or July if ever bearing, which will be July for these guys. And then let the plants bear fruit. A light mulch may be applied 2 weeks after planting to help retain moisture in the soil and keep berries off the ground. Water during dry spells, especially when the fruit is beginning to ripen. So I'm going to pause just now. So I just had to take my inhaler real quick. With the babies living with me right now and them having hay all the time, it's really piqued my asthma for it being inside. That's the French instructions. I'm always worried there's going to be bugs inside here, but most things don't. Alrighty. So it looks like it's just wrapped in some sort of newspaper or something. There is a bit of mold. I don't know if you can see that from being in here and being wet. So I was right to be worried about that. That one's dying. Okay. So I'm going to pop these into some warm water and let them sit for 20 minutes to rehydrate fully. Get all this stuff off first. But I think that the nursery, oh, there we go, that's why it's sticking. Ha. They have an extra elastic on here. Go. Okay. That's easier. So I'm going to take 10 of these out. It's hard to tell which is which. I think this is the same root. Okay. So we have one. That could be multiple, actually, now I think about it. That's 3. Okay, well, I guess 1, 2, and 3, because I don't want to mess these up too much. Two, 3, 4. Five. Look at that. 6. This better not count as 1 right here, because that's sad. 7. 8. Wait, I only need 5, didn't I? Ha. 7. 6. 5. Okay. Just let these guys moisten up a bit. All right, I'm going to put some paper towel into the rest of these. Some of these roots are pretty sad, I have to say. paper towel. Soak up a little bit. Okay, so while they're doing that, like so, and I'll tighten that up a little bit later. These aside for 20 minutes. So it is currently 1:05. So 1:25 we'll come back to them. They do that, I'm going to show you what we're doing. So here I have 3 pots, and they're basically the same shape. They're all oblong. And here is the thought, is that I have one like this, filled with soil and strawberries, one like this just above it. That will stay for me. There we go. And then the third one on top. So as you're supposed to have the strawberries 12 inches apart, that's best case scenario. I'm going to have 2 to 3 here, 2 here, and then either 1 in here or have some flowers. And what I'm going to do is drill holes right in the center. So they're all going to be free draining into each other. The roots of these guys will go into the soil of here. The roots of these guys will go into the soil of here. So everyone's sharing. It's easier to water. And then I have this guy on wheels. So they'll all go on here, as you can see. And then when I need to have fresh sun to the other side, I'll just turn them around. And that side's blank. And then on the back of the middle one, it also has garden and flowers, because this has garden and flowers on this side. And I don't want to have them both like that, so it's going to be garden and flowers on the bottom for this side. Rotate. Garden and flowers in the middle for this one. So yeah, that is what we're doing today. It's really important to make sure these guys get watered a lot. They're a reflective surface, so it's going to keep the roots hopefully cool. And if I end up touching it and I feel that these are getting hot since it's metal, I'm going to paint this white. So whatever the surface that doesn't have writing on it is going to get painted white. And these may or may not stay. They're just barely put on there with pressure, so I could pull them off if I want to. Right now they're kind of cute. And that's that. All of this was found at my local Dollarama in British Columbia, Canada. It's their random garden things. I haven't seen ones like this before, but I've seen these before, the little spinners. I just have never bought them. So that is what we're doing. So I'm going to get started by prepping these by drilling holes. And my lovely partner has allowed me to use his drill. He said the drill bit is already dull, so he doesn't mind me using it on metal. But if you have a brand new drill bit that's normally used for wood, like this one is or was, this is going to dull your drill bit. So you need to have a friend that you know that has a drill bit sharpener to sharpen these up again, because it is going to dull it quite a bit. My partner says that for the lifetime of these guys, how long he's had them for, he doesn't mind them getting a little bit duller because he has others. So there's that. The soil we're going to use is a peat moss blend. So this is from Dutch Treat, from the 2020 soil, not the 2021. The 2021 soils, the starting soil at least, had a lot more peat moss than it had peat moss and compost. This does have little bits of wood, so you can kind of see that. So it's a peat moss compost blend with perlite. I'm not sure what this year's is going to be, so you might want to use something different that does not have dolomite lime in it, because that makes it more neutral. I've also added to this a good deal of vermiculite. Where is it? Vermiculite is a, there we are. Vermiculite is a volcanic, somewhat non-sustainable product, but what it does, both perlite and vermiculite help with drainage, but vermiculite actually absorbs water. So as this gets dry, it will release the water back out again when the strawberries need it. So that was the reason I added it. I'm going to moisten the soil because right now it's pretty dry. Just sort of, I hold it, just kind of crumbles again. So we're going to moisten this. And then while that gets drawing up the water, then I'm going to drill the pots. So I'm going to pause and come back to that. One other thing I was going to mention, I am trying a paint stir stick as something to stabilize these guys. So I'm going to make a hole that is the same sort of general size as this. I'm going to shove it through. And the idea being that with this slightly in the soil, let me bring that up a bit. This being slightly in the soil, this is also going to go right through there and then has a base. And then this guy, well, it's going to be a little bit higher than that. This guy also get a spot in the side there, and going through the metal as well is going to be slightly in there. So that should stabilize. I don't know if you guys have a super awkward dog like I do. She's a sweet, sweet dog, don't get me wrong, but she knocks over everything that she comes in contact with. So I'm hoping that this being a little more stable, her tail won't be wagging, and this is on top, wag, 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 smack, and away go my strawberries. So that's what we're going to try. I do have concerns that this is not going to stay moist enough for the strawberries because it is so small. But we'll see. I might end up putting just like another Dollarama watering system to have a drip in there. Or this might just have to be something I watch constantly because they need a deep water. Another option you can do as well is a PVC pipe, which I might actually do if we pause for a second. Okay, continuing on. This is a PVC pipe. You can see it's perfectly hollow. And what I could do is cut it to size, obviously, but I can put this PVC pipe through this and put a cap to stop it from leaking. And in the meantime, I can put holes all through here so that when it's in this tub and I water from the top, the water comes down and it comes out these holes. And then all I have to do is keep my finger on the soil to see when it gets moist. And if I put in, like half a gallon or 2 liters in here, usually that'll be enough to thoroughly water deeply, yet irregularly. And that will make the roots grow stronger. With these guys, I might have to just top it up ever so often. But with the other ones, that should be better. Now looking, I don't really see a good spot to just squeeze this in. Like there's a spot on the outside, but obviously that's not going to work. You want it more dead center. prefer just to be able to squeeze this in because it's plastic on plastic here. So I might take a hacksaw or something and just hacksaw some of this rose off, because you're not going to see it anyway. And I can shove that down in there and put plastic seal on it. Just using anything really. I'm probably going to end up using hot glue and some kind of lid. Like if I happen to have, I don't know, a yogurt lid, for example. I'm just going to hot glue the yogurt lid on there so that the water can't escape. It's only going to escape out the holes. So let's give that a try. Okay, so I have my partner's hacksaw, which I'm sure he won't mind me using on plastic. It's just from Lee Valley, the typical hacksaw. I'm going to put the plastic PVC pipe that I want to use in the position it would be, and just away from the center there. Okay. Now I'm going to take this out. Oops. Going to take this out and cut it somewhere safe. Okay, nailed it. Completely the opposite way I was expecting to nail it, but it is in. I'm going to put Gorilla Glue around the edging and let that dry for a while. I'm using the Gorilla Glue, specifically the gel. So the gel allows for flexibility. So if it does move a little bit, it'll be okay. I'm also going to build up around the sides here. Not really sure how yet, but I'm going to wad up some stuff and secure it so this is secure as well. That will be to figure out later. In any case, so that is now done. That is figured. This is no longer needed. So it's just going to be getting it right over the top. In the meantime, I'm going to take off the large portion at the very top of the PVC, because you can see it's a little wider there, to make my life a little bit easier. And yeah, so we're going to pause for this because it's a lot of noise and not fun. Okay, so what I did is I added some painter's tape just to give the screwdriver a bit of grip. And then I drew a hole around the PVC pipe, and I did little holes around the whole thing. It was covered in the painter's tape as well. And then once that was done, I brought out my handy dandy, super rusty wire snips because I couldn't find my normal ones. And I snipped all the way around the hole. And then once all that stuff was out, I opened them like that inside the hole to make it a little bit bigger. And then I didn't cut it exactly to size so that I could make this exactly fit. And I shoved the rest of the PVC in. So once it's in, there we go. All I gotta do is use the wire snips to tighten that up around the edge again, because I didn't cut them out, I just pushed them. And then it should be a fairly tight seal. Not perfect, but I don't need perfect. It's going to be draining from all these holes anyway. One thing I did want to point out is the positioning of the holes I did. So here's where the water is coming in. So it'll be coming in from this direction. You notice I have all the holes away from that. So it has a moment to come into the soil and move around all the rest of the soil, not just immediately be flushed out. So that was that idea. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest the same way I just did this one, which took me about 5 minutes because I do not have the proper tools. I just have the drill, I have the wire snips, and I had the PVC. So yeah, you don't have to have every fancy dancy piece of thing that you need or you think you need. You just have to look around and see what you can repurpose. So I'm going to continue with this, and then we're going to plant up. Okay, just to show you, didn't have the right tool in here. Oh, I'm totally going to sneeze. I have all this dust in my nose now. However, just using the screwdriver there, I have now made holes for all this. So when it's in here, in the pot, I can just add water to the top and it will water through all these holes. Nice deep soaking, rather than just being on the soil level and the water coming down and then drying off. Whenever I water now, it's going to go all the way through. Just give me a sec. Okay, so I did a really crappy job of cutting this end off. I'm really not good with a hacksaw. I don't have the body strength for it. However, it did fit perfectly on the end of this. And what I've done, this is going to be the stop. So all the water would go in here, go all the way out. And this is the part that's going to be underneath the trolley to stop it going on the ground. However, I was trying to figure out something I can put in here to stop the water from flowing out. And I realized reduce, reuse, recycle. This came in a Happy Meal pack holding a toy, a really crappy toy. But what I can do is put on the end and then shove this piece over top of it. So it's usually about a 6 ply. So now I have 12 ply there. So as long as no one stabs it, Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants, which is the package this was, is going to take care of it for me. And the reason I have this tape on again, for anyone that didn't catch it the first time, it provides grip on plastic and metal. And so while you're cutting, your screwdriver isn't jumping all over the place. It's a good grip. And all I did was I went from the top and I went all the way through. So I just had to screw in twice to get full coverage. Okay. That seemed to take a long time. Now I'm just going to check that everything fits. Get this guy to go through. Now I might have to cut off the end of this because it was a little long before, but I'm hoping with the overlap that won't be a problem, but who knows, because these wheels, and black background. Where are we? Okay, these wheels are not very big, so we'll see. Did we make it? We did not make it, just by a bit. So I wonder if I can just shove this down a little further. I think that's about as low down as it will go. And you can kind of see that these wheels are not quite there. So I am going to, how close is that? If I had the upper body strength, I don't know if that's just the upper body strength lacking or if it's too tight of a seal now, because it was right on the precipice. Okay, I'm going to fix this because once the soil is packed around this thing, there's no changing. So pause. Alrighty, it is in. We are in. You can pass a pen underneath there. You're good to go. I am gonna, like I said, stabilize these two positions here. Don't know with what yet. We will get there. So let's make sure everything fits. Oops, sorry. One potato. And that will have the drainage going all the way through. Two potato. That will be great. And then, last but not least, this one might be a bit of a tight fit. And there we go. So and that is what it'll look like. And then we just gotta fill it all up with flowers. Strawberries. So once we're full of strawberries, we'll have the automatic watering from the top. And the strawberries themselves, oops, this is difficult. The strawberries themselves are gonna get big and grow over this, which is fine. They're gonna be over here, but they're gonna go over the edge. They're gonna go over this edge. They're gonna go over that edge, and waterfall effect. So that's gonna be really cool. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, I'm just unclenching you for a second. I wanted you to be able to see. There we go. So this is the big guy. There's all the holes. I've turned this one backwards for a minute so that when I'm filling up the soil, it doesn't do that. So there we are. Stage 1. Let's do this. Okay, so I've repositioned you so you can see what I'm doing. I'm sure everybody has potted up a plant before. Maybe you haven't potted up bare root. And that was one of the few things that was different in that you have to fan out their roots rather than just putting the little plug right where it needs to be. You have to fan them out so they have a better ability to seek out water. So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to pause for a second because I left the back door open to get some air in here because after all that sawing and drilling and all the stuff I was doing, I got warm. So I'm going to pause and just close the door. Otherwise, the bell's going to keep ringing, which is Annie's go to the bathroom bell, and the wind is having fun with that right now. Okay, one sec. Okay, here we go. Stop you wiggling for a second. Sorry, it's the best I can do. You are currently attached to my utensil drawer, which is very thin, but it gives you a fairly good view of the counter space. So what we're going to do right here